Welcome back, Sand Shark fans. This is another edition of Sand Shark Bites. My name's Mitchell Meagle, the Sports Information Director, and it's time for Baseball Media Day. I'm here joined by Bam. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so let's dive right on into it. So, fall practices are right behind us already. Can you give us a little bit of a synopsis over the fall? What stood out, so on and so forth?
Yeah, no, we had a great fall. I was pleased with our turnout. Again, it's a large roster, a bunch of new guys. So anytime you have a turn like that, it's going to take some time to develop the guys, but also kind of develop that chemistry. But the fall was great. It gave us a chance to implement our offense and our defense and really our thoughts on our pitching staff, and gave us a chance to mold 55 guys and put them in a position to become one by the end of the fall. It was a great fall, highly competitive. We graduated a bunch from last year's club, especially on the offensive side. And so it gave us a chance to battle out position-wise all across the board and gave our guys just a chance to compete daily. I was very pleased with how far we came in the fall. They're smart guys. They're athletic. They have the ability to really implement our style of play pretty quickly, seamlessly. And so I was excited about how we did, and I look forward to a big spring. But the fall was great. We're finally excited to get to play for keeps now in the springtime. But we got a lot accomplished in the fall, and the guys really took it to heart and did a great job.
Can you talk about the winter, that month of December, that month off? It's got to be a little bit difficult. Guys are going home. Can you talk about the training that you give these guys, the nutrition behind it? Right. Can you talk about what you give those guys for that month break?
Yeah, you're right. Baseball is tough because you go in here and you bust your tail for 4 months, and then you take a month off, and you come back and you play in 3 weeks. So if you've not prepared yourself for that time, then you're going to be in trouble. We work really hard as we finish up our fall practice season, move into our bulk phase is what we call it in the weight room, where we try to gain and change physically. We work really hard during those last 2 months of fall to build as much as we can. And then we'll work to finish out the Christmas season like that. Now that we're back in play, we'll begin a maintenance phase and try to maintain all that we have built at this point. So it's difficult. You finish up with exams, and the guys are gone for 4 weeks, and some guys go north to the cold, some guys go south to the warmth, and guys move all around, and you never know really what their options are at home. Do they have a chance to get outside and throw every day? Does the weather prohibit that? Do they have someone to throw with? Can they have a cage? Do they have somewhere they can get their work in from a baseball standpoint? And who has access to a gym? Some guys will go back to their high school. Some guys will go to a Gold. Some guys will go to the local YMCA, wherever it is. So putting them in a position to better themselves and use what they've already built and maintain that till they get back is a challenge. So we do try to put them in a plan that is very similar to what we do here. We break everything down from their daily workouts and their daily stretching, calisthenics, to conditioning, to their hip mobility and shoulder care programs, to their ab work, their core work, to their grip work, forearms. It is a very intense. It's like 56-page packet that we give these guys after we finish exams. And it's everything that we do throughout the course of a year that they can do on their own now. We try to take all the guesswork out of it, all the thinking out of it, so they know when they show up every day what they've got to do to get better. They can open up their packet. They see their schedule. They know their workout for day one, which is that Monday. They do everything they do from that Monday all the way down to the number of the times they use the jump rope, to the number of seconds they hold a stretch. It's just done for them. We break out the diet plan for them, so if they're a gainer or if they're trying to cut, they're trying to hold what they're trying to do, how we can get the proper amount of calories in with that workout to put them where they need to be. And hopefully they had access to do that. Even the guys that might not be able to get outside and throw long, or the guys that have struggled from a hitting standpoint, have somewhere to go. Hopefully we've put them in a good enough position over the course of fall and winter that now it doesn't take as long for them to come back and be prepared to go for springtime.
I think that's good, especially coming from a detailed standpoint. It just lays everything kind of out there. So I think that's great, especially for that, like you said, 4-week plan. It lays everything out there.
Right.
But now coming back, school started last week.
Right.
Baseball starts in just over a week and a half. Can you talk about how that affects the playing on the field? I mean, that's got to be tough. Like the NCAA, they get about a month and a half normally. Right. So it's really, once school starts back, baseball starts back. Can you talk about how that time frame?
Yeah, it is the most exciting and yet most stressful time of the year for us. Because the season's quickly here. We're excited to go out there and play. You play for keeps. You've worked all year to get to this point. But at the same time, we have literally you have like 18 days from the time we get back till we play. So it is extremely stressful for us. And the guys that might not have taken their training as seriously as they should have over Christmas break, they're behind. The guys that did take advantage of that opportunity, they're right on schedule. But the things you don't think about are field conditions. You catch some rain there early in January, and last week we had our first week of practice, and we didn't get on the field a single day. We were, on a turf field. We were at, a separate field. We were practicing multiple fields. We didn't even take a ground ball until we first inter squad. So you start looking at things like that as a unique challenge, especially early in the fall. And now we're trying to bust our tails to get our pitch counts up to make sure our guys are healthy enough to go in 10 days, when we play. So the position battles are effectively won in the fall. However, we have to reevaluate when we first get back as well. And those guys that didn't exactly do what they're supposed to, they're behind. So those position battles can change. It is a unique time of the year, to say the least. So we're actively preparing for that as much as we can, from groups to team practice, trying to re-emphasize everything that we did in the fall, just to give them a refresher, get back in the groove so they know what to expect of them. But at the same time, know that in 10 days we play. Our schedule is a great schedule. However, the Sun Conference starts so early in the season that it magnifies everything that you do. It magnifies every mistake that you make. And whereas in other conferences, for example, in the AAC, we didn't begin conference play till March. Here we'll play conference play in week 3. So we'll play, MACU to start. We'll have an open week of midweek, play Point that weekend. We have a midweek against Columbia International, and then we start conference play. So you better be prepared, in 3 weeks to have your conference lineup set, to have your rotation set, to get yourself in a position to win a conference title. It starts in week 3. And that is a challenge in the Sun Conference with the way scheduling is. You got to be ready to go early. And so you're right. These first 3 weeks are exciting and nerve-wracking altogether. We've got guys start to get sore, and guys will start to get banged up. And you have to know in the back of your head that, hey, in 10 days we play. There's going to be a win or a loss on the line. And can we get our guys prepared effectively in those 10 days? And I give a lot of credit to Coach Roberts at the job that he does with our pitching staff, because they're out there. Not only are we throwing, but PFPs and pick footwork, and knowing our coverages, and our shoulder care program, and our hip flexibility, hip mobility. These plans are in place, and it is a lot. So these guys are getting to the yard now. We're getting used to class again and getting back in the routine of going to class, getting in the weight room in the mornings, and then getting in the field and then busting our tails for 3, 4, 5 hours to maximize what time we have, because we know in 10 days it's real.
So transitioning a little bit, let's kind of talk about the actual team. Like you said, 55 guys. It's a big roster.
Right.
A lot of newcomers here,
Correct.
but a good thing of it is a lot of them are transfers. They have those 2-3 years experience. And then there's also some fresh faces as well, some freshmen as well. But can you talk about the experience of those JUCO transfers, as well as the mix with the upperclassmen that have been here for 4 years, and then bringing in these new guys as well? Yeah.
And again, when you start looking at recruiting and how you build a team, obviously, it comes in waves and different stages as to what your needs are. In our first year here, we kind of went for a rebuild model. We kind of eliminated a lot of guys, changed some things, added some depth. Went a high character class. Guys are going to improve us in the classroom and the community off the field, but also build some depth on the field. And then year 2, second class was last year. We added a lot of offense. We had a bunch of offensive guys, even some one-year guys who I thought could help us bridge the gap till we got the hitters in that we needed. This past offseason was a pitching year for us. We got a lot of pitchers. I think we brought in like 31 pitchers or something like that to help build the depth we need on the mound. And as we go forward, we'll scale that back considerably and start to bring in piece by piece to what we need. So it was a large recruiting class. We've got a lot of transfers in this piece. And when you start bringing in transfers, 2-year or 4-year transfers, there are a couple things you look for. You need guys that have come from winning programs, and guys that have been put in positions they're going to help you succeed early. Guys that have pitched in big games, guys that have seen multiple innings, guys that have had different starts, guys that have different backgrounds and experiences. And those guys kind of have an idea of what it takes to travel, what it takes to take care of your business in the classroom when you're gone 4 days a week, or what it's like when the lights turn on. When there is that added pressure there that not necessarily a freshman might not have yet. They don't understand when the lights turn on the difference and the pressure that unfolds. So we do have a lot of junior college guys, and we have a bunch of new guys that have come in here, and we like those guys because they're battle tested. They've done it before. On the flip side, those young guys we have brought in, we have a chance to have those guys for 4 years or 5 in some cases, and we can really develop them in a way that they can handle our style of play. They can handle our expectations from the very beginning. We're not having to reprogram. We're not having to change bad habits. They're moldable clay, and you can go out there and you can put them in a position to do everything that we do early, and then over the course of time it becomes second half, it becomes easy, and then next thing you know, they're teaching guys along the way. So we love those junior college guys because it does give us 2 years of experience already under their belt, proven, and the new guys gives a chance. We can have those guys for 4 years, and we can mold them pretty quickly into what we're looking for. So yeah, good mix, and a lot of those guys have come into play, especially on the mound, but also in the offensive side as well.
So let's talk about the offensive side.
Okay.
Pitching is great. I think it's definitely needed from a baseball program.
Right.
Like you said, 31 pitchers. It's good to have options, maybe
Right.
arm angle, pitch style,
Correct.
so on and so forth. But going specifically to the offensive side, losing big bats, kind of like the Cole Hamilton, the
Yeah.
Bobby Winthy. How do you replace those types of guys?
That's tough. Obviously when you look at Bobby, he's a program guy. The guy's got freaking 10 records in the record books, career home run leader, and was a dominant two-time all-conference guy. He's a hard one to replace. That guy, he hit at every level from Division I to junior college, and he was a force offensively. So I don't know if you can necessarily replace that guy with one bat. The other guys, again, they're tough to handle as well. Hammy was a great hitter for us. Hammy hit leadoff for 50 games, and really, that was last year, and the year before. On base percentage well over 400, was on base. He could run. He had some big hits when it counted. His defense vastly improved last year. At the end of the season, he was one of our better players. Rob McKinney was a guy that played right field. He had a bum shoulder pretty much all spring, but played well. He had 400 in conference play. So we graduated 2 of our 3 outfielders. Chris Vasquez hit close to 400. Non-conference play, finished about 330 in conference play, and fielded about 955 at second base. Was a stalwart at second base, and so that was a big loss for us too. So you've got some offensive guys that were huge for us last year, some huge numbers. And so being able to replace those guys is definitely a challenge. In the outfield, obviously, Hammy and Rob are both 2 good players. And so we went with a junior college transfer mix heavily out there. We also returned Melquan Depew. Melly was a guy we had last year that was banged up and missed most of the year. Having him back healthy, we believe gives us a dynamic outfielder, much like Noah Matthews, who can fill in out there, can play either corner, can play in the middle, and has a similar skill set to Hammy. Nick Milhan, transfer we brought in, I feel like he's very similar to Robbie McKinney offensively. The guy's going to hit 400. He finds a way. Very similar run-wise, consistent offensively, doesn't strike out. And Leandy Castro, a junior college transfer we brought in, is a guy we're counting on to be a run producer in the middle. I don't want to put pressure on him. Say, look, I need you to hit like Bobby Winthy. I need him to hit like Leandy. And he is. He's a talented offensive guy, some serious presence in the middle of our order, and that gives us some help there. That was a big deal. In the infield, you look at Bobby Winthy. He was obviously a stalwart in the middle of our order. And so he's a tough one to place, as is Vasquez, who was an offensive second baseman. Nick Del Bianco played first base last year, and again, Nicky hit in the middle of the order, well over 300, and a guy who was a plus runner, who did some things differently. Most first basemen are there to truck and drive baseballs and run produce. Nicky was an opposite. He was a table setter, could get on base, could run, could move, could bunt, and helped us in the middle of the order, not clog up the base pass, but really use it as an advantage. Some of the guys we brought in now at first base are traditional bangers. Clint Sellers, Kyron Russ, both of those guys are RBI presence guys who have done it at a high level in junior college. And you received Keith Olmo back from a redshirt year when Keith started 50-plus games 2 years ago for us in the middle. He'll move into shortstop now. And he's an experienced guy, and you get a guy who has done it in the past at a high level, can hit top or bottom, had a year off to kind of refine and get healthy. And now that he's really taken advantage of that. Cup moves back at third, and he's got another year under his belt in the full-time position, moved to third base. And so really you can't replace those guys one by one, but hopefully as a collective group we can. Behind the plate I think is a big one for us. We returned pretty much all of our catchers from last year, and we get Matt Morgan back, who redshirted last year, another junior college guy. So, we have, again, we went out and got heavy pitching, heavy pitching depth And we brought in some guys who I think can really help us offensively, but we returned some red shirts from last year's team who I think are big for us. You know, they're already in the program for a year, potentially 2 years, and can make immediate impacts there. So hopefully, as a collective group, we can handle the excellence of some individuals.
So it sounds like a really exciting 2020 season. We're all looking forward to it. We appreciate you coming by and taking time and giving us a little bit more insight. But baseball season's right around the corner. January 31st, mark your calendars. 3-game series will open up with 15 games at home. So a lot of chances to catch your baseball team at Richard Gray Stadium. We appreciate you tuning in to Baseball Media Day, and we'll see you soon at Richard Gray.